The Nifahene of the Challa traditional area, Nana Sabrom Amwesa II, has called on the Hotel Minister designate Daniel Machato to be fair and firm in his attempt to broker peace among feuding factions in the area. Three ethnic groups, Challa, Adele, and Achode, have repeatedly clashed with each other in the Nkwanta area, resulting in the death of dozens of citizens. Today, leaders of the three traditional areas were in Parliament to support the Hotel Regional Minister designate Daniel Machato joined his vetting in Parliament today. James Abeji is monitoring proceedings and join me via Zoom. James, so let's start from the call by these traditional areas to the regional minister. I know that they didn't have the opportunity to address him publicly, but why are they making this, and how did they put across this petition?
Yes, Elton. So, I mean, I was a bit taken aback when, at the end of the vetting of the regional minister designate, the chairman of the committee, as it has become the norm, would introduce some dignitaries who accompanied the nominee to the vetting. And he announced the leaders, or the traditional leaders, of the three feuding factions in the Nkwanta South area. And so I quickly had to try and speak to some of them, and the Nifahene of Challa actually spoke to us. We know that the area has been a hot zone for the past few months, from middle of last year till now. There have been clashes among the citizens in the area belonging to the various traditional areas. And it is in that engagement, even before the engagement during the vetting of the minister nominee, he was asked what his top priorities are for the Oti region. And the number one he mentioned was about peace. And then development in the area. Surprisingly, on the committee, during the vetting, there hasn't been any single mention of the Nkwanta South, clashes over the period. And so I had the opportunity to speak to the Nifahene, and he mentions that they, as traditional leaders, have not been happy at all with the way the former regional minister, Joshua Makubu, and the MC for the Nkwanta South area dealt with the issue over the period. According to them, they have been, their stance have been tilted towards one faction amongst the three. And so they believe that there must be some serious engagement between the three traditional areas. And in doing that, the regional minister designate, if approved, must have his feet firm on the ground and take independent decisions devoid of any interference from anyone, especially one of the traditional areas he thinks that have over the period, through their actions, want to impose themselves on the others. And so that's what actually brought up the call. I was curious whether they exchanged pleasantries as various traditional leaders who have been involved in these clashes. He mentioned that, in fact, they didn't even know that they were even coming to meet the other traditional areas. And so they met, the exchange pleasantry with one of them. The other, he couldn't do that, but he looked forward to doing that. And so, as far as he is concerned, his part of the feuding factions have always been ready to smoke the peace pipe. It's now the responsibility of the leaders, especially the regional minister, who is the head of the regional security council, to stand his grounds and give fair hearing to every side involved in all of these clashes. Elton.
So there was also the issue about calls for prison reforms. How did that come up, James?
So interestingly, the regional minister designates have spent a lot of his years serving in the public as an officer of the Ghana Prison Service, served as a public relations officer for the prison service, now serving as deputy public relations at the now UNIMAC, University of Media Arts and Communication. And so the members of the committee were drawing on his experience serving with the Ghana Prison Service. And he said that the Ghana Prison Service, as we have it now, have become what he calls a warehouse of human beings, or human being warehouse, rather than the reformational centers or systems we thought the prison service would serve. And so he was calling for the need to make sure that the objective of the prison service to reform inmates before they come out is met. For instance, he makes the point that since 2011, monies for the feeding of prisoners has been 1 cedi 80 pesos, and so for the past decade, it has still been 1 cedi 80 pesos. It doesn't know how they would want that to impact the lives of prisoners, and so stressing the need that even if we have to decentralize the prison system to the district and municipal level, where every district or municipality would put up a prison that can house at least 100 inmates, that will be fine in order to bring down the number on the central prisons, the regional prisons, in order for the formative agenda to take course.
And who else appeared before the committee, and what more do we know?
So far, the two deputy energy ministers have been appearing before the committee. First was one of the deputies, appearing before the committee, and there have been issues about some $2 million by the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. In fact, he serves as a member of the board of that fund, and that's Honorable Collins Adomako Mensah. And they've raised issues about the Infrastructure Investment Fund actually investing some $2 million in the SkyTrain project. We know about this government SkyTrain project and how that has not been yet achieved. The committee entreated him to make sure that he put his voice out there to make sure the GIIF actually retrieved this money. Vincent Asifua have also appeared before the committee as Deputy Local Government Minister, saying that indeed we need to take steps to make sure that DCs get elected, and he thinks that it needs to be on partisan basis so that when they get elected, we can hold them accountable, the citizens can hold them accountable for their work, not that the president has appointed and so they are accountable to the president. He thinks that we must take steps to bring back the discussion about DCs or MMDCs getting elected. Those are persons who have appeared before the committee so far, and what we've been hearing from them. Left with one other nominee to close the day.
And before I let you go, James, we know that in the new standing orders of Parliament, whilst they are vetting other committee members, like for example, when they vetted the deputy minister designated for local governments, you will find members from the local government committee in Parliament join to also ask questions. Is that what is happening?
Since the start of the committee vetting process, that has been the practice. In fact, you will find more members of the committee responsible for the ministry that the nominee is coming from, more of those members on the appointment committee asking more of the questions than the substantive members of the appointment committee. So that has been the practice throughout. And for instance, when we had the energy minister, it looks like that was the comfort zone of the ranking member, ranking leader on the committee, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa. We had members of the energy committee, and same apply to the other committees as well. Local government, you have people like Neil Ante Vanderpool and the rest coming to ask questions, probe the committee, the nominee, and on all of that. So that part of the standing orders have been upheld since the beginning of the vetting.
All right, thank you very much, James Aveji, covering the vetting of ministers nominated by President Akufo-Addo.